Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Hang on. Oh, that's better. I did that with my phone. That's pretty cool, huh? I think like 2 years ago now, I bought these Wi-Fi light bulbs. And they are pretty cool. You have an app to like turn them on and off, set the brightness, color, and you can even set timers to like turn them on and off. Lowering the brightness especially is a great life hack for those poor souls who have to deal with migraines and they get a sweet taste of hell every now and then. It's great. They are cool, but a while ago I had no internet access for a few days, and then I realized I couldn't control my lights with the app anymore because it needed internet access. That's weird, huh? I was standing there like, what's going on? That's inconvenient, isn't it? But most importantly, why do these light bulbs need internet access? At that point, I started to hear some weird noises coming from the light bulb. It almost sounded like someone was whispering in Chinese. And also a few days later I got mail. There was a letter with 5 orange pips in it and a little note that said that I asked too many questions. So yeah, user data is the new gold, so the app and probably the light bulbs themselves are collecting and sending data on me to China. And everyone in China laughs at me while they watch me die in Dark Souls. I always had this vague idea, like maybe it would be cool to control these lights with code or something. But in the few days where I had no internet access and I couldn't use my light bulb, it went from vague idea to concrete plan. Back when I first had that idea, I was afraid I had to do some CSI level hacking maneuvers, like tracing network signals or anything, but actually 2 seconds of googling later, I found out that there are libraries specifically made just to control this specific brand of smart lights. And following a spur of the moment idea, another quick Google search showed me how easy it is nowadays to just get voice recognition running in your code. You literally just download a library and say, recognize this, and it works. What a time to be alive. So now I have a plan. I'll download this Python library called TinyTuya and use that to control my light bulbs. So I don't have to use the app anymore, they won't become unusable when I don't have internet access, and I can even block the light bulbs from accessing internet in my router settings. I'm probably not really going to do that because I don't particularly care. The whole data thing is not my fight to fight, but that stuff's really hot right now and it's going to sound great in the title. And then I try to get some voice recognition going with that voice recognition library, and then I can bring light with the command of my voice. Which is extremely convenient, but also, most importantly, it's just mega cool. Alright, I'm hyped, let's go! First installing the libraries, TinyTuya, speech recognition, that went smoothly, no problems there. Now, to send anything to your lights, you need its device ID, its IP address, and a so-called local key. For the ID and IP, the library has a thing you can use to scan your network for devices, that works. But for these local keys, you need to go through a whole process of making it to your developer account, getting some API keys and whatever. I gotta be honest, I don't care. I have no idea what was going on. There were detailed step-by-step instructions, I followed them, I got the keys, I moved on. Now with these keys, I can create an object for each of my lights. And now apparently it's as easy as just calling a function like turn on that object. Wow. And just to make sure, I disconnected from the internet and tried again, and it still works. So yeah, nice. We're flying, boys. So after trying all the different functions like setting brightness, color temperature, color and stuff, jumping for joy like a maniac in the process, by the way. And to control all this stuff, I wrote some basic CLI that works with the same basic principle that I used in my last video on the music tool. Basically just looking for keywords and values to decide which function to call. I go into more detail on it in my previous video, which you can watch right now if you want. I mean, it's pretty cool, it's free, you know, just go watch it. I mean, just saying, or else. Anyway, now I have a crude but fully functional light control tool. I even added some presets like full bright, very low and stuff like that. That's cool enough already, but the real fun stuff comes now. The speech recognition library seems to be very straightforward as well. But first I need to install PyAudio to get audio from my microphone, which again went pretty smoothly. And then it's simply a matter of initializing it, getting an audio snippet with the listen function, and then passing that into a recognize function. And that actually works. Well, works might be a strong word. I got the audio and it passed into the recognize function. But I used the Sphinx audio engine there, which was the first one they talked about in the documentation. And that kinda sucked. It didn't really understand anything I said correctly. So I switched to the Google one and that works flawlessly. It's almost frightening, actually. Now, I would be lying if I said I understand completely what this width thing here does. I guess it's for handling things like file streams and stuff like that, but I don't know. I just copied that from the documentation and it works, so... Now, whenever the program couldn't understand what was said, it throws an exception and the program crashes, which happens quite a lot. So I guess now it's the time to look a little bit into exception handling, which isn't as scary as it sounds. So basically you just create this try block here, put some code in it. Whenever that code throws an exception, instead of crashing, it jumps to a corresponding code block that you define below. So if the recognize function can't understand what I'm saying because I had some of that funny juice, it throws that unknown value error, and instead of tweaking out, it jumps to the code block there, and then just keeps going after the try block. That's basically the gist of it, I guess. And now that that's a little more stable, I could just plug it in here and use it as the input of the CLI, and bam! Fully voice-controlled lights in my home. That is so cool.
Turn lights on.
Now, like I said, it is pretty cool, but it isn't really particularly usable. I have to manually run it, it's constantly listening and trying to execute whatever it's hearing, and I might accidentally turn on off my lights or whatever. It won't be perfect for now, but I do want to try to make it less shitty. First of all, the moment it picks up any noise, it will start listening to the phrase until the noise stops. So if there's continuous noise, it will listen indefinitely, which is no bueno. Thankfully, you can pass some arguments into the listen function. With timeout, you can set the maximum time it tries to listen, and the phrase time limit does exactly what the name says. Once it picks up noise, it cuts out after the specific time limit. Now that's way better already, and I can listen to music without crashing my computer. But it's still always active. I mean, I want it to be voice activated, so it needs to listen constantly. But it doesn't need to try to parse everything it hears. So I set it up to work a little bit more like these voice assistants like Siri that wait for a keyword and then activate and listen to what you're saying. Well, they're always listening, but you know what I mean. And for now I set the keyword to be computer, which isn't really that creative, but I couldn't think of anything really, but so that's what it is for now. And that works. It listens for 10 seconds, and if it hears the keyword, it activates the main function and listens for a command. What it lacks now is feedback. Without looking at the terminal, I have no idea if it picked up the keyword, but luckily if you type in this command into the terminal, it makes a little sound. So I just put that little string in the beginning of the main function, and there we go. Now it's actually usable. It's voice activated, it gives audio feedback, and you know, that's the thing it's supposed to do.
Computer. Brightness 70.
Another thing I wanted is to be able to give more than one command. Right now what it does is it listens for the keyword and then listens to your command, executes that command, and then goes back to listening to the keyword. What I want is after successfully executing a command, I want it to listen for another one. And if it doesn't hear a command, it times out and then goes back to listening to the keyword. That's also how things like Siri or the Google Assistant work. And the way I did this is a little clumsy. So basically I have this main function that does all the command parsing stuff. And at the end of that function, I recursively call that function again. And in between, I have some exit points where I return. For example, if I say thanks, or it didn't pick up any audio or didn't understand anything, it just exits and goes back to listening to the keyword. It works, but I'm not a big fan. In general, this whole code here all of this code is a crime. I just threw this all together haphazardly. But guess what? Right now, I don't care. It works. Somebody comes to my house and I show them that the light listens to my command and they're like super amazed and impressed. And then the whole village claps. I get elected the mayor of the town and all the women just throw themselves at me. Well, maybe not that, but still, it is pretty cool. And no one cares one bit about clumsy code or whatever. Now, I will clean this up eventually. I have to if I want to go back and extend this, which I want to do at some point, but right now it works well enough, so I don't care. And lastly, I went full programmer mode and copied stuff from Stack Overflow. I found this script here. It's supposed to run my script in the background without a terminal window, and it does. Just throw that into the Autorun folder and bada bing bada boom, there we have it. Fully voice controlled lights at any time. How cool is that? You know what, that was actually pretty easy. And it didn't even take 4 hours. This whole little adventure here made me realize something really cool. That is how easy it is nowadays to exploit other people's work for my own gain. And now I'm not talking about slave labor, but this is also pretty easy nowadays, sadly. Anyway, no, I'm talking about libraries, APIs, and websites like Stack Overflow in general. There is so much stuff out there to help you create whatever you want to make. I mean, how awesome is it that I just bought these random light bulbs one day and there's already a library there to fully control them easily. There are some videos of a guy using PyAuto to play DS games. Check them out, they're really cool. Almost anything you can think of. Most likely, there's already a library or an API out there to help you. Of course, there's the obvious stuff like game frameworks, GUI libraries and all that. But there's so much more. You want to know about planet positions and moon phases? There's a Python library for that. You want to talk in emojis? There you go. You need random bad jokes? This guy's got you covered.
He didn't get a raise. Oh man, that's funny.
You want to make your website fart? Go off, King. You're a programmer but also a chemist? ChemPy is made for you. You're a hardcore knitting enjoyer? Check out PyKnit. Yes, this is real. We truly are in the best timeline. All these wonderful things exist because some people had a random idea and thought, you know what? I want to make that. And then they made that. And because of people like this, I can just get the random idea of voice controlling my lights and think, you know what? I want to make that. And I went and made it. And it was so easy. So go make things. There is so much cool shit to be made. So often I see people on the internet talking about, oh, what should I make? I don't know what programming project I should do. Brother, what the fuck are you talking about? You're telling me you're so passionate about programming, yet you can't think of a single thing you want to make? I'm struggling to keep all the ideas of shit I want to make under control, man. Oh, but this project probably isn't the most optimal learning experience. I need to make the most efficient progress. Shut up, man. Brother, nobody gives a rat's ass about you making another shitty to-do app or another unusable weather app. You don't give a crap about making that stuff. Even if there was such a thing as the right project. Any learning benefit that you would get from this would be offset by the fact that it's boring as hell and you do not care. You want to know what will give you the best learning experience? What has been proven to help people learn even the most complicated things? Actually giving a damn about what you're doing. And you have things you care about and you want to make. Don't lie. There's a reason you wanted to become a programmer in the first place. You probably also have dozens of random ideas you want to make. You just gotta be honest with yourself. And just stop worrying about taking the most optimal path or doing the right thing. I've always wanted to do this thing. Someday, I really want to make that. I've always had this idea of, wouldn't it be cool if I did this? Everyone has these thoughts all the time. You know, life is short. Are you really ready to take that risk? The risk of looking back at these thoughts and ideas and seeing them as nothing more than that? Just thoughts and ideas? I'm not. Go make things. It's what you're here for. Well, I guess going full inspirational mode at the end of my videos is a thing now. There we go, another one in the books. That was a nice small project. I needed that. The last video really took something out of me. I'm going to continue my project hopping. This thing is working good enough, it's ready to be used. I'm fine with moving on to something else. I do want to come back to this at some point to improve this a little, especially to clean up this code. This really made me want to buy more of these lights, replace all of my lights in my house, even some other smart devices maybe, and then I can manage them with groups and stuff like that. That would be really cool. I also had the idea of adding text-to-speech, because that is apparently also very easy now. And while I was writing this script and talking about all these voice assistants like Siri, I couldn't help but think how easy it would be nowadays to just create your own voice assistant. Anyway, I'm not really sure what I want to do next. It would be nice to just keep doing some projects for a while without stopping for like 2 weeks to make a video, because the ratio of hours spent coding versus hours spent making videos is looking a little bit skewed here. We'll see. Until then, I'll see you in whatever I make next. Whether you want it or not, I don't care. You're gonna hear about it. Now stop watching YouTube and go make things.